Hello, welcome to my channel. Ako si Christian Mario, isa kong psychology graduate, education unit earner at former DOST scholar na gumagawa ng videos tungkol sa science, psychology, research and statistics at exam preparations. Kung interesado ka sa mga ganitong bagay, please subscribe to my channel. Ang video na ito ay kabilang sa research and statistics series. Mamaya ilalagay ko yung playlist bago matapos ang video na ito. Non-experimental designs. Ano nga ba ito? Yan ang pag-uusapan natin sa video na ito.
Last time, we already talked about true experiments where we highlighted the role of control in establishing a cause and effect relationship. Most of the time, mahirap pong i-control ang variables kasi pwede magkaroon ng mga ethical issues. Kaya ang ginagawa ng ibang researchers ay correlational research na lang o di kaya naman ay non-experimental alternatives. Sa video na ito, pag-uusapan natin ng non-experimental research designs. Ano ba ang sinasabi nating non-experimental research designs? Internal validity at external validity. Ito yung dalawang concepts na kailangan malaman natin kasi importante sila. Ano ba ang difference ng internal validity sa external validity? Sunod ay research dimensions at ang common types of non-experimental approaches. Yan, non-experimental research designs, ito ay isang uri ng research design kung saan wala pong treatment na ina-apply or antecedent conditions. Ano yung ginagawa ni researcher dito? Si researcher ay nag-o-observe lang at nagde-describe ng observations niya. Itong methods ay ginagamit para malaman natin o ma-study natin yung behaviors sa natural settings. So, imbis po na sa laboratory natin gawin, ang study na to ay minsan lumalabas tayo para mas makita natin yung behaviors nila sa natural settings. To understand this better, we need to talk about validity. Merong dalawang importanteng konsepto sa research. Yung internal validity at external validity. Simulan muna natin sa internal validity. Sabi dito, it is the degree to which our research design allows us to make causal statements. Ano daw ibig sabihin nun? Kumbaga, kaya ba nating masabi na yung variable A ang nag-cause talaga ng change sa variable B? Yung mga true experiments kasi meron silang high internal validity kasi kinokontrol ng researchers yung variables. However, madalas ay mababa ang kanilang external validity. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng external validity? Yan. External validity refers to generalizability or applicability to people and situations outside the research setting. Kumbaga, pwede ba nating ma-apply yung findings ng research natin sa ibang tao? Yan. Ito mga non-experimental studies, usually they have low internal validity kasi mahirap mag-establish ng causality. Okay? Mahirap mag-establish ng cause and effect relationship. Pero, mataas yung kanyang external validity kasi sinasabi na pwede daw nating i-apply yung findings ng non-experiment approaches sa real life. Yan, research dimensions. All research methods can be described using two important dimensions. So, meron tayong dalawang research dimensions. Una ay the degree of manipulation of antecedent conditions. Ano ba yung antecedent conditions? Ito ay treatment. Okay? Treatment po siya. It refers to how much the researcher changes. Pag sinabing changes, minamanipula o kinokontrol yung variables before the behavior occurs. Pag mababa yung ating manipulation, walang interference. Hindi nangingialam si researcher. Okay? No interference. Pero pag mataas ang manipulation of antecedent conditions, kinokontrol ni researcher actively yung mga variables. Pangalawang dimension naman ay ang degree of imposition of units. Ano to? It refers to how much the researcher restricts or structures the responses of participants. Kumbaga, Sa madaling sabi, hinahayaan ba ni researcher yung pre-responses? Okay? Hinahayaan ba ang pre-responses ni researcher? O nililimit ba yun yung mga responses ng respondents gamit ang structured measures na gaya ng survey questionnaire? Diba sa survey questionnaire, usually meron tayong agree, disagree. Yun lang yung pamimilian natin. Usually 5 lang sila. Yung strongly agree, undecided, disagree at strongly disagree. Pag ganun, ibig sabihin mataas yung imposition of units. Pero kapag si participant o respondent ay pwedeng magsagot kahit anong gusto nilang sabihin, mababa yung imposition of units. Yan. Itong two dimensions na to ay pwedeng mag-create ng 4 possible combinations. Ano po sila? Una ay low-low. Mababa yung manipulation of antecedents. Wala masyadong control si researcher. Low imposition of units. Merong freedom si participant o respondents na magbigay ng responses. Hindi sila limited lang. Meron tayong low-high. Low ang manipulation ng antecedent. High naman ang imposition of units. Next is high-low. High ang manipulation of antecedents. Kumbaga actively kinokontrol ni researcher ang variables. Pero low imposition of units. At syempre meron tayong high-high. Kung saan high yung manipulation, actively kinokontrol ang variables at high din ang imposition of units. Kumbaga, nililimitahan din natin yung responses ng participants or respondents. Itong mga combination na to nakatutulong para ma-classify natin yung iba't ibang research approaches. And speaking of, we have common types of non-experimental approaches. Ano po itong mga to? We have the phenomenology, we have the case studies, we have the field studies, and the archival studies. Pag-usapan natin sila isa-isa. Simulan natin sa phenomenology. Sa phenomenology, ang focus natin ay experience, karanasan ng isang tao. It is the description of an individual's immediate experience, karanasan niya. So, ang goal nito ay maintindihan natin yung karanasan ng isang tao. Noong grade 11 ako, alam ko yung research namin ay isang phenomenology tungkol sa mga traffic enforcers sa Binyan City, Laguna. Itong type ng research na to ay nasa low-low. Ibig sabihin, low yung kanyang manipulation of antecedent conditions. Yan. Walang kinokontrol si researcher sa mga variables, antecedent conditions. Low din yung imposition of units kasi hindi nakakulong si participant or respondent sa limited na choices ng response. So, limited or low ang kanyang imposition of units. At ang phenomenology ay hindi pwedeng gamitin para maintindihan natin ang causes of behavior. Kasi ano lang yung nag-iisang research design na pwede natin gamitin para mag-establish ng causality. Experiment lang. Okay? Kasi ang experiment ay merong manipulation. Yan. Isa sa mga characteristic na to. At control. Yan. Control. Etong dalawang to ang characteristic ng isang experiment. At kailangan natin tong dalawang to para mag-establish ng cause and effect relationship. Sunod naman ang case study. Yan, pag sinabi natin case study, it is a descriptive record of a single individual's experience. Minsan pwede siyang small group. Okay? Pero madalas single individual's experiences or behaviors kept by an outside observer. So gaya ng phenomenology, ito din ay nasa low-low category. Okay? Low lang yung kanyang imposition of units at low din yung manipulation of antecedent conditions. According to Casdin in 2003, case studies have 5 major purposes. Ano nga ba ang purpose? Bakit siya ginagawa? Una, source of hypothesis and theories. Paano nagiging source of hypothesis and theories itong case studies? Dito kasi sa case study, pwede maobserbahan ni researcher yung mga patterns na pwedeng pagsimulan ng panibagong theories or hypothesis. Pwede ka dito magkaroon ng mga research question na gusto mong masagot through research. Yan. Ano pa yung next purpose niya? Development of therapy techniques. Yung mga case study ay pwedeng magamit ng mga psychologist para mag-develop ng panibagong therapy techniques na maaaring effective sa isang particular case. Yan. Next is study of rare phenomena. May mga bagay kasi na sobrang rare, as in bihira lang siya mangyari. Kaya dito papasok yung case study. Halimbawa, may isang bata na nag-develop ng superior memory pagkatapos ng isang sakit. As in, sobrang galing ng kanyang memory after niya magkaroon ng sakit. So, itong case na to ay sobrang rare lang, sobrang bihira lang makita. Kaya dito papasok yung usefulness ng isang case study. Na-study niya yung isang rare phenomena. Next, provide exceptions to existing theories. Minsan kasi yung mga case pwede natin magamit para makontradict yung mga existing theories. Okay? Macha-challenge natin yung existing theories sa pamamagitan ng ilang case study. At syempre, kapag may contradiction, mas may improve natin yung current scientific knowledge na meron tayo tungkol dito. And last one is persuasive and motivational value. Dahil nga real life stories yung ginagamit natin, yan, mas convincing yung findings natin at mas impactful. However, even though there are many purposes, madaming purposes ang case study, there are some limitations. Una, low generalizability. Yan, low yung kanyang generalizability kahit na siya ay isang non-experimental approach. Bakit? Kasi yung experience ng isang tao ay hindi pwedeng applicable sa lahat. Kasi isa lang siya. Next ay, researcher cannot observe everything. So, hindi mo pwedeng i-observe ang isang bagay 24/7. Yan. Meron na mamimiss kang details na importante. Next, participant may forget or omit relevant details. Pwedeng may tanggalin si participant mismo na detail na mahalaga. And it often relies on retrospective data. Ito yung weakness niya. Pag sinabi nating retrospective data, yan, ito yung recall. Okay? Recall or pagkakatanda ng isang tao dun sa past events. Which is minsan dahil nga sobrang tagal na, pwedeng hindi ganun ka-accurate. Moving forward, meron pa tayong tinatawag na field studies. Ito ay non-experimental type where many types of data are gathered. Field studies can fall anywhere along the continuum of low-low to low-high. Marami pong iba't ibang types ang field studies. Una ay yung naturalistic observation studies. Dito, ino-observe ang behavior as it naturally occurs in real-life setting. Low-low yung category nito. Okay? Low-low ang category niya kasi minimal lang yung interference ni researcher. Halimbawa, ino-observe niya lang yung behavior ng mga customers na bumibili sa isang particular store. Sunod naman ay ethology. Ito yung study of animal behavior. Yan, animal behavior in the wild or in captivity. So ito ay tungkol naman sa hayop. Okay? Next ay systematic observation. Researchers use structured guidelines to record behavior. So meron po tayong ginagamit na guidelines para mas maging objective ang ating observation. Next ay laboratory observation. This observation falls within medium-high to high-high spectrum. Okay? Medium-high to high-high yung spectrum niya. And last naman ay participant observer studies. The researcher actually becomes part, yan, nagiging parte siya ng grupo na gusto niyang study. Okay? Halimbawa, si researcher, sumama siya sa isang tribo kung saan gusto niya maintindihan yung culture at power dynamics sa loob. Yun ay halimbawa ng isang participant observer studies. Ito pala ang issue sa observational research or field study, yung reactivity. Pag sinabi nating reactivity, ito yung tendency of subjects to alter their behavior. So meron tayong change na nangyayari sa behavior ng isang subject when they are aware of an observer's presence. So kapag aware si subject, ay pwede niyang baguhin yung kanyang behavior. Ang tawag natin doon ay reactivity. Totoo naman, di ba? Kapag alam natin na inoobserbahan tayo, medyo nahihiya tayo. Okay? Medyo binabago natin yung ilang behaviors natin. Halimbawa, kung magagalitin kang tao, pero alam mong inoobserbahan ka ni researcher, so anong ginagawa mo? Medyo kinokontrol mo kahit paano yung galit mo. Ang tawag doon ay reactivity. Note that researchers often try to use unobtrusive observation. Okay? Unobtrusive observation to capture more natural behavior. Bakit sila gumagawa ng unobtrusive observation? Para makapture yung natural behavior. Dito sa method na to, pwede silang gumamit or mag-install, let's say, ng hidden camera para mas makita yung behavior ni subject sa natural setting. Ang pinakahuling method na i-discuss natin ay archival study. It is a descriptive method in which already existing records are re-examined. Instead of collecting new data, researchers examine materials such as historical records, medical files, government statistics, school records, online databases, at iba pa. Dito sa archival study, hindi tayo gumagamit ng new data. Okay? Hindi tayo gumagamit ng ganyan. Ang ginagamit natin ay kung ano yung currently na meron tayo, yung existing records, para makita natin yung trends at patterns sa history. Yan. Ito yung pinagagamitan ng archival study. Okay? Ang kanyang limitation lang, limitation ng archival study ay completeness sa data natin. Kasi kung meron tayong gustong i-examine, kailangan magre-rely lang tayo dun sa existing records. Ano ang bottom line natin? Ang bottom line natin ay may research designs na pwede natin gamitin without manipulating variables, gaya ng mga non-experimental research methods. Though di natin kaya mag-establish ng cause and effect relationship sa mga to. Kasi ano lang yung pwede gumawa or mag-establish ng cause and effect relationship, yun lang ay through experiments. Ano ang conclusion natin? Summary lang. Summary natin, non-experimental research, study behavior without manipulating variables. Wala tayo minamanipula na variables sa non-experimental research. Kasi ang manipulation ay isang characteristic ng true experiment. Internal validity is the ability to determine cause and effect. Okay? Kapag ang isang research ay may mataas na internal validity, madedetermine niya yung cause and effect. Pero pag mababa yung internal validity, mahirap madetermine kung merong causal relationship. Kapag external validity naman, it is the ability to generalize findings. At most of the time, yung ating non-experimental approaches ay may mataas na external validity. The two dimensions of research are manipulation of antecedent conditions and imposition of units. Again, pag sinabi nating manipulation of antecedent conditions, ito yung pag-control natin sa variable. At kapag sinabi naman natin na imposition of units, ito yung paglimita natin sa responses. Some common non-experimental methods are phenomenology, we have case studies, field studies, at archival studies. Itong mga method na to ay merong own strengths, pero meron din naman silang limitations. Pero yun nga, these methods can help researchers understand complex human and even animal behavior.
Did you find this video helpful? If yes, please click like and subscribe. Comment nyo na rin ang insights and opinions nyo. Bye-bye!